think this was definitely 8-9 years ago. And I looked up the author of that article, and his name was Arthur Schopper. Now, I didn't know where Arthur Schopper lived, but I found out he lived in Torrance, and I liked that. And so I reached out to him just to say hi, and from then on, he has enlightened our community with his conservative values and with a lot of energy to make our lives better and challenge those of which that are bringing our society down. Arthur Schopper is the national coordinator.
Field director.
Field director. One of those can work, right? And field director of MassResistance for the nation. He has fighting battles for every state, every school board that he can get his way in writing to them to let them know what they're doing wrong. So in that case, I asked him to give, he said he has some new information for me, and I am delighted to hand the microphone over to him to let him give you a lot of great information what's been happening on the front against the LGBT mafia. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, Arthur Schopper.
Thank you so much. I have to give a special shout out to Scott Carter because he has given MassResistance a massive platform. I cannot tell you, there are some groups that are still terrified of standing up to this sexual degeneracy that's targeting our children, that's targeting families, that's targeting all of us. And we really have a golden opportunity to clean away a lot of this stuff. I just find out that one of the first executive orders that Donald Trump is going to issue is to ban the sex mutilation of minors. I mean, this is a travesty that it even has gotten to this place. So just to reiterate, yes, my name is Arthur Schopper. It's so good to see all these people. I counted 55. I'm probably sure I'm missing somebody. This is incredible. Thank you for being here, everybody. I'm the field director for MassResistance, www.massresistance.org. Check out our website. We are an international pro-family group. We make the difference. Yes, I have big news. I've been just jumping about this for the last 3 weeks. So, we have the special distinction because we have started a major discussion in state legislatures across the country. We are taking a firm stance against Obergefell v. Hodges. That was the corrupt Supreme Court decision which imposed same-sex marriage on the country. We have drafted a resolution which has been picked up by 8 states. We are active in 8 states already, and we are working on other ones. Obergefell v. Hodges, 2015. That was the decision that led to people like Kim Davis going to jail because she wouldn't issue marriage licenses to fake or same-sex couples. MassResistance, we are doing now what many pro-family groups have not wanted to do. They've been tinkering around the edges. But we have this entire mass of perversion in our schools today. Why are our kids learning about anal sex and oral sex in schools? Why are they getting drag queens, grooming them in libraries? How did this happen? It started with the idea that 2 men could say, I do, and we were supposed to tolerate it. I know that seems like a big step, but the slippery slope is real. If you don't believe us, check out our documentary, What Gay Marriage Did to Massachusetts. In that state alone, the tyranny, the destruction, the degeneracy was widespread. That's where we're headquartered, by the way. So what's the story? A year and a half ago, a legislator in Idaho said, I'll draft your resolution for you. This was at the end of 2003. Didn't have the time to file it. But at the end of last year, the same legislator, Heather Scott, she came up to me and said, okay, I'll file it this year. This is the first big piece of legislation we've pushed. This is a statement by a legislature saying, Supreme Court, you had no right to push this. We get to decide what marriage is, 10th Amendment authority. You need to revisit this, and you need to reverse it. That's what we're pushing. As I said, as of today, 8 states have filed. We have gotten to the core of this issue. A lot of pro-family groups, they want to talk about Christian Heritage Month. That's nice. They want to talk about Traditional Family Month. That's okay. We've got to get to the core of this. We have got to borrow from President Trump, we've got to make male and female great again. We've got to make marriage great again. We've got to make mom and dad great again. We cannot have any victory without that. The 8 states where we have filed so far, Idaho I mentioned, North Dakota, Montana, Iowa, Kansas, Michigan. Michigan I still consider a bluish state. I know Trump won it twice, that's incredible. But it's still kind of liberal on the surface. There is this incredible legislator, Joshua Schreiber. We were helping him and one of his staffers. We stopped 3 bills, by the way. You'll be hearing about that in the next couple of weeks. He said, you guys are fighting the fight. You guys want to go right to the issue, stopping same-sex marriage. He said, I will run this resolution. And he has a habit of pissing off the establishment. This is really exciting. So Michigan as well, Mississippi, and we just found out one of our activists is working in Arizona. A legislator has picked it up there. Yes, I have contacted some legislators even here in California. Very much a long shot. One of the legislators said, we'll talk to the caucus, we'll see if we can do something. But they were willing to look at it. This is where the fight matters. We have got to defend, we've got to take back territory. Look how bad it's gotten. We're now trying to defend children from being mutilated. Who would have ever thought that something like this could have happened? But that's because too much has been tolerated up to now. We were kind of silent on the same-sex marriage issue. People have been really quiet on the adoption issue. We can't be quiet anymore. And I'm glad that Donald Trump got elected. Don't get me wrong, I voted for him. But I'm not thrilled right now because he's appointed 3 homosexuals in his cabinet. No, I'm not happy about that. We don't be quiet. We have to keep demanding more. We need to keep pushing for what was lost. And I feel we have a golden opportunity to keep pushing. If Trump gives us X, we want to say we want X, Y, and Z. That's what we should be pushing for. Yes, mass deportations, but I want that wall finished. Yes, I want to stop the sex mutilation of minors. But you know what? We shouldn't have same-sex marriage. We shouldn't have this nonsense that a man can call himself a woman and go into a woman's facility and take over women's sports. All of it has to go. And we have seen the damage this agenda has wrought. And it's still a problem, even with the Supreme Court stepping in, defending freedom of conscience for business owners, but we still have some problems, and it all goes back to this Obergefell decision. Our resolution was based on the dissenting opinions, 4 very strong dissenting opinions, 2 from Alito and the other from Clarence Thomas. We relied on their reasoning in order to issue the resolution. We've got to push back on the political leadership. This is a partisan club. I know you're going to hear from people, we shouldn't touch these cultural issues. This is too divisive. Let's just focus on drill, baby, drill, fight the inflation, secure the border. I'm not saying they don't matter. But those Hispanic voters, those Asian voters, even those black voters, they didn't line up for the Republican Party because they wanted liberal light. I love telling this story, I'll be so quick. I've been in Montclair, very blue area. 2 Hispanics, a Hispanic couple, out of nowhere. They say to me, we are Democrats, but we are homeless. We are pro-life, and we are anti-LGBT. They have the guts to say it. Why can't we? The state party leadership is foolish if they think abandoning cultural norms is a way to win across this state. They didn't flip a seat in Imperial County or Riverside County by embracing cultural liberalism. Running like a San Francisco Republican is not going to win this state. We have to make that message loud and clear. And that's a message to Donald Trump as well. I'm not afraid to criticize him when he's out of line. Scott Bessent is one of his nominees for Treasury. He's married to a man. He trafficked children from their natural parents. And he worked for George Soros. It's time to raise the alarm on this. Because he already had a first hearing. I think we need to derail that one. So you guys are the bosses, okay? And Trump needs to listen to you. And that guy needs to be pulled off. So that's a starting point. I can send some call to action on that to you later, Scott. So that's an issue. So this resolution, I'm just so excited. This has been the dream of mine. From the moment I saw a Swedish pastor getting arrested in Sweden just for preaching, including against homosexuality, I said, this is a tyranny that needs to stop. And I've been so frustrated by every other pro-family group. They want to just protect religious institutions, or they just want to protect the kids. But you gotta get to the institutional foundation. 2 men cannot be married. 2 women cannot be married. God bless Matt Walsh, he says it so plain. 2 men, you don't have a marriage. It's an impossibility. And it's time for the Supreme Court to catch up with reality. These 8 states are taking the lead. We have a hearing in Idaho this Wednesday. Our activists will be speaking out there. So, switching gears, cut me off, I'm too long, or how much time do I have? A little bit, okay, thank you so much.
5 minutes?
I said we're an international group, correct? This, I would have never imagined. We've helped people in Canada. I was on the phone with somebody in Canada this afternoon. Greg was talking about inalienable rights. Canada, they don't have inalienable rights. They have a Charter of Rights and Freedoms that it's easy to yank or undermine. How do we know this? Look at all the truckers who are getting arrested. Bill Ladcock, one of our key activists, is still being persecuted just for passing out gospel tracts. That still happens in Canada. We're hoping for a change in the guard this year, just like there was for us last year. But how else are we international? We have pastors in Kenya who have reached out to us. And they have said, we want you to train our pastors and our people to fight this agenda. We're talking about sub-Saharan Africa here, right? Homosexuality is illegal. And yet, you have NGOs that are subversive in the country pushing this garbage. This is an international corruption. We are helping Kenyans to fight this nonsense. Senegal, a country in West Africa, contacted us this week and said, can you help train us? We want to mobilize the country, take on the National Assembly, and get this agenda out of our country. They want to stiffen the penalties. They want to expel every NGO, normalizing this. This is something we would have never dreamed of. This is where mass resistance is now. We're going big. Enough of the same-sex marriage nonsense. We're going international. We're helping people in West Africa, in Southeastern Africa. If I haven't mentioned it, we've worked with people in Macedonia. We've worked with people in Central Asia. Everybody's waking up to this. And you know what? Even if he talks kind of a liberal talk, we have an opening now, I think, to really restore our culture. Believe me, I voted for Trump. Imagine if Kamala Harris and 4 years of her cackling and her cacophony. And these were the most bigoted LGBT advocates you can imagine. They would have forced your kids to be gay. That's how disgusting and abusive they are. But we are taking a stand against this. We're making every effort. We are reaching out to legislators in Florida, Alabama, definitely the red states, you can tell, but we're even trying to push. I spoke to some legislators in New Mexico this past week. Still a blue state, but the legislators there are feeling very confident that they can start moving things in the right direction. And what we know about New Mexico, heavily Hispanic. And they're very much on our side when it comes to these pro-family values fighting against this LGBT corruption. We're on the move. It's been very exciting, and it's a real treasure to be able to talk to all of you, because so many of you in this audience have supported us. You've supported us here, and you've supported our efforts across the country and around the world. And I want to thank you so much for that. If you want to get more information about mass resistance, if you're not getting our updates, if you want to get involved, see me afterwards. I'll be here for a few minutes, then I got to take off, I'm sorry. But I'd be more than happy to give you my card. Feel free to call me back. Thank you so much again, Scott. I appreciate you giving me this time. As I said, I have a lot to share. This is a very exciting time for our organization. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Arthur Schopper. Arthur Schopper is always a motivator and with his ideas. Mass resistance, MASSRE.